51 years. Woman went on yacht party with a guy she met. She was found with a torn mouth and vagina. Marissa Hale stared at the pale reflection in her bathroom mirror, dabbing concealer beneath tired blue eyes. At 51, she still carried the traces of the beauty she once took for granted, though now it felt like a costume she wore for no audience at all. The house was silent as always. Her ex-husband had remarried years ago. Her grown daughter lived 3 states away. Most nights, Marissa ate dinner alone and scrolled aimlessly through her phone until sleep finally claimed her. That evening, a restless energy buzzed beneath her skin. She wanted to feel alive again, to be seen. On impulse, she downloaded a dating app, something she'd sworn she would never do. The first few profiles were disheartening, blurry photos, hollow compliments. Then one message caught her eye. "I'm Adrian. I have a place by the water. Private yacht party tonight. You seem like someone who could use an escape." She stared at his profile photo, strikingly handsome, with dark hair and a confident smile. His bio was brief but intriguing. Entrepreneur, traveler, lover of the sea. Marissa hesitated. It was impulsive, even reckless. She didn't know this man, but as she looked around her quiet, lonely home, the idea of champagne, ocean breeze, and laughter felt intoxicating. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, trembling slightly. "I'll come," she finally typed, hitting send before she could overthink it. Somewhere deep inside, a whisper of warning stirred and was silenced. Tomorrow, her life would never be the same. Marissa stood in front of her open closet, clothes strewn across the bed like the aftermath of a storm. Nothing felt right. Everything seemed either too conservative or too revealing. Finally, she chose a deep blue dress that clung modestly to her curves and a silver shawl to guard against the ocean chill. As she applied lipstick, her hands trembled. "It's just a party," she told herself, though her heart pounded like she was 20 again. She hadn't been on a date in years, hadn't felt this giddy or this foolish. The marina was alive with the soft hum of engines and laughter drifting from moored boats. Luxury yachts gleamed under string lights, their reflections shimmering on dark water. Marissa scanned the crowd nervously until she spotted him. Adrian Cross was even more striking in person, tall, broad-shouldered, his tailored jacket casual yet expensive. His smile lit up when he saw her. "Marissa," he said smoothly, taking her hand and kissing it lightly. "Even more beautiful than your pictures." Heat rose in her cheeks. "Thank you. This place is incredible. It's just the beginning." His tone was playful, but his grip on her hand lingered a moment too long before he guided her down the dock. 2 other men stood waiting at the yacht's entrance. Adrian introduced them as Cole and Victor. Cole's grin was wide and unnerving, while Victor's silent stare felt like an unspoken threat. Marissa's instincts stirred uneasily, but Adrian leaned close, whispering, "They're friends. Ignore their rough edges." The yacht itself was dazzling. Polished decks, chilled champagne, a world far from her quiet existence. As the boat pulled away from shore, Marissa exhaled, letting herself sink into the fantasy, unaware of how quickly it would shatter. The yacht came alive as soon as it left the dock. Hidden speakers pulsed with a low, sensual beat, mingling with bursts of laughter and the rhythmic slap of waves against the hull. String lights glimmered above like tiny stars, casting warm, golden reflections across the polished deck. Marissa followed Adrian inside, her heels clicking softly against gleaming wood floors. The cabin was lavish, velvet seating, mirrored walls, and bottles of champagne chilling in crystal buckets. It was overwhelming, intoxicating, a far cry from her quiet, ordinary life. "Drink?" Adrian asked smoothly, already pouring 2 glasses. "Yes, thank you," she said, accepting the flute. The first sip fizzed down her throat, a rush of sweetness and burn that loosened the tight coil of anxiety in her chest. Cole sidled up beside her, leaning in too close. "So, Marissa, ever been on a yacht before?" His grin revealed teeth that were just a shade too white. "Too sharp. No, first time," she admitted. Stepping slightly back, Victor didn't speak, merely watched from across the room, his eyes following her like a shadow. Adrian draped an arm around her shoulders, his presence both protective and possessive. "Relax," he murmured. "We're here to have fun." As the night deepened, champagne flowed freely. Marissa's head swam, laughter bubbling from her lips even as unease crept beneath the surface. Cole's comments turned more suggestive, his hand brushing against hers, by accident. Victor's silent stare never wavered. "Maybe it's just the alcohol," she told herself, forcing a smile. "Maybe I'm imagining things." The music swelled. Adrian leaned down, his breath warm against her ear. "Come with me," he whispered. His tone velvet and command all at once, and just like that, the others, and her growing fear, faded into the background. Adrian led Marissa down a narrow corridor to the yacht's lower deck, away from the music and laughter above. The sudden quiet was disorienting, leaving only the muffled thrum of the engine and the steady sway of the boat. "I just wanted a moment alone with you," he said smoothly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. His touch was tender, but his eyes, dark and unreadable, made her pulse quicken in a different way. They shared another drink in a smaller lounge, and for a while she let herself believe the night was everything she'd hoped for. But as Adrian stepped away to take a phone call, Marissa wandered toward the stairwell. The sound of hushed voices drifting up from below, curious. She descended halfway down, stopping when she recognized Adrian's low, sharp tone. "Keep her calm," he was saying. "No mistakes this time." Cole's voice followed, impatient and coarse. "She's already suspicious. What if she tries to leave?" Adrian's reply was a hiss. "Then make sure she doesn't." Marissa's breath caught. Her grip on the railing tightened, the metal cold beneath her fingers. She backed away silently and returned to the lounge, trying to compose herself. When Adrian reappeared moments later, she forced a smile. "Everything okay?" she asked lightly. "Of course." His laugh was easy, but his gaze held a flicker of something colder, something calculating. Marissa reached for her phone, desperate to call someone, anyone. But there was no signal. Only a mocking, empty icon on the screen. A chilling realization washed over her. They were miles from shore, and she was utterly alone. Above them, the music roared on, masking the first whisper of danger beneath a veil of celebration. When Marissa returned to the upper deck, the atmosphere had shifted. The music was louder now, pounding like a restless heartbeat. Cole was laughing too loudly, a half-empty bottle in his hand, while Victor sat silently in the corner, his expression unreadable. Adrian appeared beside her with a bright, exaggerated grin. "The energy's dipping," he announced, raising his glass. "Let's make things interesting. A drinking game. A little fun never hurt anyone." Marissa hesitated, but the others cheered. Adrian poured more champagne and pressed a glass into her hand. "Come on, beautiful," he coaxed, his tone warm but insistent. "You'll like this." The first few rounds were harmless. Silly questions, light dares. Marissa began to relax, laughing despite herself. But then Adrian's questions turned sharper. "Tell us your biggest regret," he asked, his eyes boring into her. She faltered. I don't know." "Drink," he said, voice suddenly firm. Cole grinned, leaning closer. "Ever cheated on someone?" "Come on, don't be shy." Marissa swallowed hard, taking another sip to avoid answering. The alcohol burned now, bitter instead of sweet. The dares became worse. Cole dared her to dance for them. Adrian's next challenge was to remove her shawl. Laughter surrounded her, suffocating. "Enough," Marissa whispered, trying to stand. "I don't want to play anymore." Adrian's hand clamped down on her wrist. His charming mask slipped, replaced by something cold and commanding. "Sit down." Victor remained silent, watching like a predator biding his time. Panic clawed at Marissa's throat. She wrenched free and stumbled toward the nearest hallway, fleeing to a small bathroom. Locking the door, she pressed her back against it. Shaking, outside muffled voices rose. Adrian and Cole. Arguing fiercely. Marissa clutched the sink, heart hammering. Knowing the night had taken a terrifying turn, Marissa pressed her ear to the bathroom door. The voices outside had quieted, replaced by the steady thrum of the yacht's engine and the distant pulse of music above deck. "Now. I have to go now." Her fingers shook as she unlatched the lock. She crept into the dimly lit hallway, every creak of the wooden floor sounding impossibly loud. Her bare feet were silent, but her breath came in ragged gasps she could barely control. "If I can reach the deck, if I can just get to a lifeboat, I can make it." The corridors blurred as she moved, her thoughts fragmenting under the weight of terror. Images flashed in her mind. Adrian's cold stare, Cole's leering grin, Victor's silence like a looming shadow. When she finally emerged onto the deck, the night air hit her like ice. The moonlight painted everything silver, revealing the outline of a small lifeboat secured to the side. Her heart surged with hope. She stumbled toward it, fumbling with the ropes, when a voice cut through the darkness. "Going somewhere, Marissa?" She froze. Adrian stepped from the shadows, his expression calm, almost amused. "Adrian, please," she begged, tears spilling down her cheeks. I need to go home." His smile vanished, replaced by a mask of cold fury. "Home? After everything you've done tonight? You think you get to walk away?" "I didn't do anything," she sobbed. "You're the one. Enough?" His shout cracked the night, sharp and final. Marissa turned to run, but arms like iron clamped around her from behind. Cole's hot breath brushed her ear as he growled, "Gotcha." Her scream split the night, echoing over the dark water as Adrian's shadow loomed closer. Marissa thrashed in Cole's grip, her scream tearing through the night. It was cut short by Adrian's hand clamping over her mouth, suffocating both sound and breath. "Hold her," Adrian ordered, his voice smooth, terrifyingly calm. Cole's laugh was low and guttural. "She's not going anywhere." The deck tilted beneath Marissa's feet as they dragged her inside. Her heels scraped against polished wood, leaving faint streaks in her wake. She kicked, twisted, begged into Adrian's palm, but no one came. No one ever would. The cabin lights blurred, too bright, spinning. The taste of salt and champagne burned her throat. "Please." The word tore free when Adrian finally released her mouth. "Please don't do this." Adrian crouched in front of her, his face unreadable, shadows pooling in the hollows of his eyes. "You wanted adventure, didn't you, Marissa? You came here. You said yes. I didn't know." "Quiet." His tone sliced through her plea like a blade. Victor stood silently near the doorway, arms crossed, watching, waiting. The first blow knocked the breath from her body. After that, time shattered. Moments came in fragments. A broken champagne glass glittering on the floor. The sticky warmth of blood spreading across her thigh. Cole's laughter, sharp and cruel, echoing against the walls. The moonlight slanting through a porthole, glinting on Adrian's gold watch as his hand closed around her throat. Her mind splintered, retreating inward. "This isn't real. It can't be real. Wake up. Please wake up." Somewhere above, the music still played, a grotesque soundtrack to her terror. When it finally ended, the silence was worse than the noise. Heavy footsteps retreated down the hall. A door slammed. Marissa lay on the cold floor, her body trembling violently. She tried to move, but darkness pressed down, dragging her under. The last thing she saw before her vision faded was a trail of blood leading toward the deck. And the endless black water beyond. Marissa's eyes fluttered open to a thin gray light. For a moment she didn't remember where she was. Then the pain hit, sharp, all-consuming. Her body ached in places she hadn't known could hurt. Her mouth was dry, her lips split and raw. Every breath felt like a jagged blade inside her chest. The cabin was silent. Too silent. She pushed herself upright with trembling arms, her hands leaving smears of dried blood on the floor. Her dress was torn, sticky with salt and wine and things she couldn't bear to think about. "Adrian?" Her voice cracked, barely a whisper. No reply. Marissa staggered to her feet, gripping the wall to steady herself. The yacht that had been alive with laughter and music hours ago was now a ghost ship. Empty champagne glasses lay tipped over, a single shoe abandoned near the couch. It looked almost peaceful, if not for the memory of what had happened there. She stumbled onto the deck, squinting against the pale dawn light. The sea was calm, its surface smooth and endless. Then she saw it. Land, faint and hazy in the distance. Her pulse quickened. They were gone. She was alone. This was her chance. Summoning the last scraps of strength, Marissa dragged herself to the railing. She climbed over, clutching the cold metal, and let herself fall. The water swallowed her with a brutal shock. Gasping, she forced her limbs to move, each stroke a battle for survival, as she swam toward the faint glow of lights on shore. Behind her, the yacht floated silently, as if nothing had ever happened. The waves lapped gently against the rocky shoreline, soft and rhythmic, until Raymond Torres spotted something that broke the pattern. At first he thought it was driftwood, but as his small fishing boat drew closer, the shape resolved into a woman's body, tangled in seaweed and soaked clothing. "Holy God," he muttered, pulling the motor to a stop. He leapt into the shallows, splashing through cold water to reach her. Her skin was icy, lips pale and cracked. Her dress hung in tatters, streaked with blood and salt. Purple bruises bloomed across her arms and thighs. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" he shouted, kneeling beside her. Marissa stirred faintly, a broken moan slipping from her throat. Her eyelids fluttered but didn't open. Raymond's stomach turned. "Stay with me. I'm getting you help." He carried her to his boat, wrapping her in a coarse blanket and fumbling for his radio. His voice trembled as he called for emergency services. Hours later, the beach was swarming with flashing lights and uniformed officers. Detective Elena Ruiz crouched beside Marissa's stretcher, her jaw tight as paramedics worked frantically. "Who found her?" Ruiz asked. "I did," Raymond said, his hands still shaking. "She just washed up." Ruiz's sharp eyes scanned the injuries, defensive wounds, signs of restraint. Rage burned beneath her calm exterior. "She didn't do this to herself," Ruiz said flatly. "Somebody dumped her." As she questioned Raymond, a uniformed officer approached. "Detective, there's something else." "We got a name." Ruiz turned. "Whose name?" "Adrian Cross," the officer replied grimly. "We ran the yacht's registration. He's well connected. Family money. Political ties." Ruiz's mouth hardened into a thin line. "Then we'd better make damn sure he can't hide behind them." Detective Elena Ruiz sat across from Adrian Cross, her pen poised above her notebook. The man looked infuriatingly composed. Crisp white shirt, perfectly groomed hair, the faintest trace of a smug smile. "Tell me again," Ruiz said, her voice steady, "how Marissa Hale ended up in the water." Adrian folded his hands, as if giving a polite interview rather than being questioned about a brutal assault. "Detective, I already told the officers." Marissa was fragile, lonely. She'd had far too much to drink that night. "I insisted she stay, but she became hysterical. Said she wanted to go home. I assumed she called a cab when we docked." Ruiz's jaw tightened. "You assumed?" "Yes," Adrian replied smoothly. "I was hosting several guests. I can't monitor everyone's comings and goings." From the corner, a lawyer cleared his throat. "My client has been more than cooperative." Ruiz's pen dug into the paper hard enough to tear it. She pictured Marissa's torn dress, the bruises, the hollow look in her half-conscious eyes. Fragile didn't begin to cover what she'd seen. "You're saying she left on her own?" Ruiz said coldly. "Exactly," Adrian said, leaning back. "A tragic accident, nothing more." Later at the hospital, Ruiz hovered near Marissa's bedside. The older woman lay pale and trembling, machines beeping softly around her. Ruiz bent close. "Marissa, I need you to tell me who did this." Marissa's lips parted, barely a whisper escaping. Adrian." Her eyes fluttered shut again, lost to exhaustion. Ruiz's hands curled into fists. She knew Adrian was lying, but his powerful friends were already closing ranks, blocking warrants and burying evidence. As she left the hospital, a single thought burned in her mind. If the system won't bring him down, I will. The hospital room was dim, the blinds half closed against the afternoon sun. Marissa sat upright in bed, her hands trembling in her lap. Detective Ruiz stood beside her, a recorder on the bedside table. "You don't have to do this today," Ruiz said softly. "But if you want justice, your statement will be the first step." Marissa swallowed hard. Her throat was raw, her voice little more than a whisper. "If I tell you, he'll know. He has friends, money. I'll never be safe." Ruiz knelt so their eyes met. "You survived, Marissa. Don't let him take the rest of your life. I'll protect you." For a moment, silence stretched between them, broken only by the rhythmic beeping of the monitor. Then Marissa nodded. He gave me champagne," she began, voice shaking. "Adrian, he was charming at first. Then he changed. There were two other men, Cole and Victor. They held me down." Tears streaked her face. "I tried to run. Adrian caught me. He said," her breath hitched. "He said I didn't get to